Welcome to your program Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. On Legends of Our Time, we bring you inspiring stories from our legends. My name is Gifty Eji, and in Jiffy, I'll be introducing my guest for today. Stay with us. So my guest for today is a former executive director of the Ghana Standards Authority, initially the Ghana Standards Board, Professor Emmanuel Kwesi Mafo. Hi, Professor. Thank you so much for your time. We are so grateful.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
My humble home.
Thank you. 82 years this year. How does it feel to be 82?
I feel very strong as at now.
Okay.
And I'm grateful to God for giving me that strength. Living on this earth for 82 years is no joke.
And what's the secret?
But God has been faithful to me. He has kept me safe and sound.
What's the secret? Prof, what have you been doing, to stay this strong?
All right. Well, I've been working. I started as a teacher, taught in a primary school, middle school as it was called, at Yabe. Then I left to go in for further studies at the University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. I graduated in 1968. And then took appointment with the Minister of Education. First, I was sent to Takoradi to teach at EST, Government Secondary Technical. Then I came to Winneba, Specialist Training College, as a tutor. There, I had a really interesting stories to tell later.
Sure. Okay, so before we go into your career path, I wanted to know what you have been doing behind the scenes that is making you this fit in terms of nutrition. Is it exercising, lifestyle? We want to know exactly what you do that you're that strong at age 82.
I was a very good hockey player.
Okay.
And a footballer. And also an athlete. When I graduated and I started working, I was still playing football in Tema, because I was working with the Unilever as a chemist, and we're playing all together with other workers from other institutions or other factories. After that, as a minister of the word, I'm always very active, moving up and down. When I was young, I was a secretary to so many committees. And again, I was the organizer for all in my area.
Okay.
So I've been very active. And when I left the industry to work with the university, when I was a lecturer, again, I was still very active, playing with students and taking part in other sporting activities. And this has kept me very strong.
Very strong. Okay, so let's begin with your early days. You were born in Ashanti region, but then you grew up partly in that region and then Bono region. Kindly share with us some childhood memories of the period.
I was born in Ashanti, Chitechibi.
Okay.
To Madam Christina Tiwada Ade and Mr. Openi Ade, Kwekwade. Kwekwade died very early, so I've never seen my father.
Okay.
I've never seen even his picture.
Oh.
But my mother never married again. So I was taking care of my mother and my brothers. Because my father died very early, my brothers were also very young. So we have to struggle.
Struggle. When you say struggle, What does it mean in your context?
At age 4, I was sent to my father's brother, Mofia, who was a hunter, living in between, in a town between Nkwansa and Ijura.
Okay.
He was a real hunter. He killed about 39 elephants.
By himself?
By himself.
Okay.
And then he caught a young elephant and brought it home.
Wow.
But everybody in the village or in the town, where it was a small town, or in the area, in the district, feared the name Yabwampo. He was very powerful.
Very powerful.
So at age 4, I went to him and introduced me to all sorts of farm activities. And at times he would kill some animal, young little one, and he comes home and he directs me to go and bring it with elderly people. He would direct me, giving me the signs to follow.
Okay.
And I did that until I went to school. He didn't even want me to go to school.
Why? Yes, I read in your autobiography that it was the grace, God's
grace of God,
that
yes,
made him send you to school.
So he sent me, we were two brothers. The other one was my half brother, and we were all staying with him. So he sent that one to school. And he told me that when I grow up, he will let me learn fitting.
A trade, okay.
So by God's grace, as you said, I visited some of my friends who were schooling. And I didn't know their father was in the house. So when I told the children or my friends, if my father doesn't send me to school and he sends me, I won't go. And the man overheard me. So I was a very close friend of
my uncle.
Yes. So he went to him, convinced him. So I went to school the third term, the year.
Okay. Instead of the first term, you went the third term. Okay.
But fortunately for me, my half brother has taught me everything I've learned.
Okay.
He was in primary 2, and I knew everything in primary 1. So when I went to school, you know, I tied my cloth around my neck.
No footwear.
No, I don't even have school uniform. How can I get footwear? I went, and the school was one teacher, primary school, Catholic school.
Okay.
And one of the people in class 3 was teaching. So I joined the class under the tree. And to their surprise, I was able to read almost everything on the board. So it was reported to the teacher. The boy who came today is able to read everything, but some of the old ones couldn't. They didn't know that my brother taught me in the house. So at the end of the year, I was promoted to P3.
Wow. So you didn't go to class 2?
No.
You went straight away to class 3?
I don't know class 2.
Okay.
I went to primary 3, and my father or my uncle transferred us from Ashiayim to Atunsu in Sitan. That's my father's town. The head teacher examined us, and we passed, the two of us. So we were admitted to class 3.
Okay.
And I continued at Atunsu Methodist School till I got to middle form 1. Then I went to government school to stay with one teacher, Mr. Boatin, late Mr. Boatin. It was there I had a lot of good friends, 2 of them, late Dr. Saria Jebin and late Kofi Wood, who were classmates, were very close. And in the school, people used to call us 3 Musketeers. Well, we were always together.
Yeah, close friends.
And when I went to Sinyani, I taught them how to play hockey because I've learned playing hockey at the Atunsi Methodist.
Okay.
And they were having hockey bats. They didn't know how to play. So I taught them how to play. And when I got to Form 4, I came to Kumasi Practice School.
Okay.
There, but when I was in Form 3, I took the common entrance, I passed, but I couldn't go.
Why?
Financial problem. I should have been at the Prempeh College, but I couldn't make it.
Your uncle was a good hunter, which means he could, I mean,
The
after
strange thing
selling...
about hunters is that they will kill lots of animals, but they're always poor.
Why?
According to them, some of the animals they kill are indebted to other animals, and therefore when you kill it, you inherit the debt.
Wow.
He was powerful, but he was poor, very poor.
So he suffered that fate.
So, came to party school, Kumasi, finished the middle from 4, and I didn't have anybody to help. But some of my teachers came to talk to my brothers that they should try to send me to school. So they sent me to day school initially. Aya, but now Santima Secondary School. I was there when our neighbor, late Mrs. Emilia Sinano, he was the social welfare officer in charge of Ashanti Brown on the north. He was from Keita.
Okay.
And I was serving her as a houseboy. So he had sympathy on me. One evening he came to my brothers and said, look, Papa Ketwa has to go to secondary school, boarding house. So he wanted to send me to Mauli secondary school. And then my brother said, Mauli is too far. Then he said, I'll send him to Cape Coast. So he took me in her car. We went to Cape Coast. I was thinking I could get admission to St. Augustine, Vansville or Adisada. Okay. That was my favorite school.
Which one? Adisada?
Yes.
Okay.
And the first place we went there was Ghana National, Albert Hammond. So we went there and said, oh, the wife of Albert Hammond knew me very well because anytime he visited the woman, I saved them.
Okay.
So he said, what do you want? Then the woman answered, well, if I want a school. I will get a school. So virtually he wrote my name in the register.
Okay.
And I had only 3 days to go back to Cape Coast because the first term was almost ended. So I came, I got 1 or 2 things, I went to Cape Coast and I joined the class. I was initially put to Swidu. National was not at the present
Cape Coast
place. Because we were housed in 2 houses.
Okay.
Swidu and I was sent to Swidu, very close, opposite Wesley Girls. Then later, I was brought to the main campus. I was doing my practicals at Adisada as a science student, but I was still at the Ghana National. So National, Form 3, I almost get every prize in the school.
Wow.
So when we got to Form 4, Form 5, I was forced to do, even though I was a science student, the history master would not allow me to go, Mr. Hagen.
Okay.
Because I was always winning the history prize. So as a science student, I added history to it.
Okay, to your courses.
Yes. And I passed all. So after I finished, that year I took 3 exams.
Okay.
One, before then we were taking the 6th form entrance exam. Before the exam. I passed that one, and I took the officers cadet exam.
Okay.
Because I wanted to join the army.
Wanted to join.
Late Commander Mohammed was my classmate.
Okay.
I passed that one, and I passed the Cambridge. We were the last batch of the Cambridge school certificate.
Okay. Which year was that?
1959.
Okay.
And I passed that one. So when I passed all the 3, my brother sat me down and said, look, you are not going to the 6th form. You can't get the money to sponsor you.
Yeah.
You have to go to training college. Then you can get some allowance. Then I thought, I want to go to Soja. Then for me, until I die, your foot will never step in the military academy. So I was forced to go to Wesley College.
And become a teacher.
Yes. Immediately on the day I entered the college, I spoke to myself, I'm going to go to university with my mates.
Okay. Very ambitious young man.
So I finished Wesley College, 61. Same year, I took the sixth form exam. And I passed history, but I couldn't get the geography and the economic history. Then I applied to Tech and Cape Coast. I gained admission to the two institutions.
Okay.
But I chose to go to Tech because I wanted to become a medical doctor. And I was told I would do the 1 year prelim. So that convinced me. And while we were doing the 1 year, then another instruction came, you have to do 2 years. So I did 2-year course in science.
So that was like a pre-course before the main university course?
Yeah, pre-course before the university.
Okay. And how many years will you?
And that was 1 year.
Okay, and then when you get to the university,
Yes,
how many
but
years you
it was changed to 2 years at once. And in 2 years, I had to do the A-level. And I passed the 3 subjects, chemistry, botany, and zoology. And when I wanted to get to the medical school, I was told, if I get to the medical school, I can get study leave. So I decided to do agric. I was in agri faculty when one Dr. Anderson, a British, came to me and said, oh, Imana, come and do biochemistry because it's a new course in the world. So come. I just packed my thing. That it wasn't at this time when the population is so large.
Yeah.
We were only, I joined the class, we were only 6.
6 of you. Wow.
So I
Were
did
you the pioneering students?
No.
Okay.
We're the 3rd batch.
3rd batch, okay.
In biochemistry. I did biochemistry. When I got to the 3rd year, I wanted to change to chemistry. They said, we didn't do maths at the A level, so you can't do, you must graduate first. So when I graduated, because I was a trained teacher, I was on study leave. And I was sent to Takura, the GSTS, Takura, the Government Secondary Technical, to teach chemistry. I taught chemistry for a semester, or a term, that then we using terms. And the tech wanted me to go back to do masters in microbiology. I went, and it wasn't, so I joined the Winneba Specialist Training College as a teacher. And at Winneba, I was teaching nutrition and food science and chemistry at the home science department.
Okay.
The school, there I had a real story to tell.
Can you share with us?
When I went there, this was very passing. A class of 45, about 2 or 3 people passed.
What was the reason?
The food science, and because 2 factors. One, the teacher or the tutor who was teaching, to me, he wasn't teaching well. He was only insulting the students. 2.
Only insulting them.
2, they didn't have a syllabus he was following.
Okay.
So when I went, with the support of Professor Rakatete, Legon, I drew a syllabus for them. Okay. And that year, at the end of the year, they scored 100% with 3 dissensions.
Wow.
So the headmaster saw me and said, how did you do it? The principal said, by God's grace. Because I was a strong SU member.
Okay.
So I was always preaching to them, doing everything possible to help them. So at the end of the year, when I wanted to leave, and the head of Home Science Department, Mrs. Samigagi, came to me and said, small boy, my son, why are you leaving? You have been here to help us. I said, look, I'm leaving. So I left, and I joined Unilever as their chemist. So I was put to laboratory, but before then I have to go around the whole factory as a shift manager, learning everything. So I learned soap making, Then came to the time we have to start margarine in Ghana. And I was sent to go and learn how to prepare margarine. So I came back with one white man. And
Which country?
Yes, and I went to Nigeria, and the man came from Britain.
Okay.
And I was in charge. The man was the head, but I was the chemist in charge of it. So I have to travel around the whole country, trying to get the correct temperature for the Ghana-made margarine. So for 30 years, I used the 30 years temperature to assess the correct temperature we can use for the manufacture of the margarine. And that one, to be able to do that, we have to make a blend of the different types of oil or fat to get the suitable one. Then after we have finished the blending, you do what we call, which is the hardening of it. And then we started. I was the first to taste Ghana-made margarine.
What was the name? Was it Blue Band?
Blue Band.
Blue Band.
I was the first
so
to taste
you
it.
are the brain behind that project?
Yes. And I introduced Blue Band, Osam, and then the, what is the one I'm forgetting the name? 3 of them. I introduced them. And all of you were enjoying it.
Sure. We're young though, but I remember Blue Band. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
So, after 4 years, I left to join Nestle. But then they have started working, producing milk and other things in Ghana. It was called Food Specialties. So the day I submitted my application, the chief chemist they said, go with him for interview. So I followed him. I have to do written interview before order. And by God's grace, I was able to pass all. So I was there when he rang the factory manager. The boy is good. Let us employ him. So I went and I discussed with them how much I would earn. When I got back to Liver Brothers, I put in my resignation letter. And that day I started my leave. So I was in the house when the late Mr. Mas Hagen, sent for me. I went and said, why? You're working well. Why do you leave? I said, I'm leaving.
So you finally left?
So I went there to join Nestle as the chief chemist.
Okay.
And when I went to Nestle, the first assignment we gave me was to determine the correct temperature for sterilization of milk. Because they were producing milk, and after 2 or 3 weeks, it solidifies, jellifies. And so that was the first assignment
they gave you. Okay, Prof, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue.
Thank you.
Okay, so the program is Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. Our guest for today is Professor Emmanuel P.C. Mafo, a former executive director of the Ghana Standards Authority. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Don't go away. Back is still watching Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. And my guest for today is a former executive director of the Ghana Standards Authority, or the Ghana Standards Boards formerly. He is Professor Emmanuel P.C. Mafo. Okay, Prof, so finally you joined Nestle. Share with us your legacies there.
When I joined Nestle, formerly called Food Specialties,
okay,
the day I sent my application to the factory manager, the chief chemist was there, and the factory manager told me, go with the man for an interview. So straight I went to the chief chemist's office. He pulled the question paper and gave it to me to answer. Immediately I finished answering, he marked the questions there and then.
Wow.
And then he rang the factory manager to tell him, the man is good, let us employ him. So I was employed. And when I joined them, the first assignment was, they gave me was to determine the right temperature for sterilization of the milk, ideal milk.
Ideal milk.
Because they were producing ideal milk, and 3-4 weeks, you see it jellified on the shelf.
Okay.
Becomes solidified.
Solidified, okay.
So, sorry, the correct term is jellification. So, I work out, and I found 3 temperatures. We sent the temperatures to Switzerland, the head office, maybe for them to select one. They were to select one because one of the temperatures, the milk becomes slightly brown.
Okay.
The other one, too pale, even though they all stand the tests. And then they pick the one, and they are still using the temperature which I gave to them to do the sterilization of the ideal milk. Then we had a problem with Milo. We were producing Milo.
Okay.
And the problem, the Milo got spoiled. And we have to make use of the spoiled one and convert it into Choco Milo.
Ah.
And from that time, we realized that we could produce Choco Milo. And the cubes, which the children like.
So much.
Again, I used the Choco Milo to clean. We wanted to start production of Cerelac, what do you call it? Maggi. And I needed to clean the thing. So when I used some of the Choco Milo to produce, the cubes were good and attractive. Yeah. So they said, oh, why don't we produce this for the market? So again, it's out of trial. Yeah. Wanting to clean the equipment for the production of Maggi cubes, we got that one. So that one also became a product. And we introduced it. Then we were producing Cerelac. And I said, we can add one more. Those of you who are little old, we know of maize break.
Yes.
I introduced it.
Okay.
So after I worked with them for a period, I had scholarship to go to Nigeria to study. And I left them.
Wow.
I went to University of Ife in Nigeria to do chemistry, applied chemistry. So I finished my master's. When I got the second year, they wanted me to convert straight to PhD. I said, no, I want to finish. Probably something may happen. I would like to go back to my country with a degree. So immediately I graduated with my MSc, they advertised and applied and interviewed us, and they appointed me as lecturer 2. Because when they look at my background with the industries, and they made a mistake during the interview, asking me questions, the questions came from industry. And because I've worked with it, it was just rattling the answers to them. So they employed me as lecturer 2, and I was lecturing chemistry. Then they said, right, why don't you continue to do your PhD? So I did
it took you 1 year?
No. If I've done the conversion, it would have taken me 1 year. Okay. But because I finished the MSc, I had to start. And I finished in 3 years, but my supervisor left me. He went on sabbatical in US. Okay. And I was waiting. So I started writing my papers. And when it came, I went in for the Viva, and I passed. Then they employed me as a lecturer 1. I lectured in the university for a period. And I decided to come back to
industry
in Ghana. So I came to KNUST as a lecturer. And then We started the food science department there now. So, but I was there working as a lecturer, supervising students. And then one professor went to give a lecture. All of you may remember a product called Pocky.
Yes, Pocky is like ice cream with different colors,
yes.
orange, blue, red.
Analyze it.
Some slim.
And I saw that they were adding saccharin to it.
Okay.
And I published it. And a lecturer from the university was giving a public lecture when he cited some of these my publications. Then former head of state, Flag of the Reverends, His Excellency, sent for me that I should come. And when they said, look, we want you to draw the Ghana food law for us.
Okay.
So they come and drop 600 up there for 2-3 weeks. They were supplying me everything that I needed.
Okay. Like what and what?
Food, paper, everything.
What about money?
Oh, money, that one they didn't give me.
Oh, it was for God and country.
So when I finished, I invited people from the industry and food science department and to help me to discuss what I've written. And after we have finished discussing it, I sent it to the government with a cover note. Okay. And I left. When I went back to Tech, I left for Canada. So I went to McGill University. I was there when they started looking for me again. But fortunately, my wife didn't tell me. I wouldn't have come. Because I had a job over there.
Okay.
So I came back, and at the airport, my wife told me, the government is looking out for you. I said, what for? I don't own them anything. So I was there. I reported to the Ashanti Regional Minister. He said, who are you? I said, I'm Rev. Mafu. But then I said, Dr. Mafu. You, Dr. Mafu? He said, tomorrow go to Accra. I said, tell them I'll come on Wednesday. So I was here on Wednesday, discussed with them, and said, we want you to come and head Ghana Standard Institution for us. I said, look, I'm coming because I've collected money from Canada. I want to do some research work.
Okay.
So I won't be able to come. So you have to come. Help us. So late Nathaniel Kwao called me outside and said, look, small boy, try to come. Yes, these people will worry you. For 3 weeks, I was shuttling between Kumasi and Accra. Well, I didn't want to come. So I came and they gave me a note that they will not interfere with my work because I gave them that condition.
Okay.
If they will interfere with my work, I won't come. They said, we won't. So PB Ovin wrote that they will not interfere with my work.
Okay.
So reluctantly I came. And it's good that I came. Because Ghana Senate board at the time, late Dr. Chundansu was the head, and he was old. And people, they were doing firefighting. Problem would be here, and then the government is for them to go and do it. I said, no, we don't work that way. So when I joined them, we met and we discussed and we had a really plan work. And I have 5 sections: laboratory, standards, inspectorate, administration, and then the technical section, those who were doing the ordinary work for the gardening, and then 5. And then later when I added 1, metrology. So it became 6. Because metrology, we needed standards, the measurement, in the market we go there, people use to run car, and this and I said, look, run car has no place in standardization. So we're going to use weighing scales. Unfortunately, I was discussing with the government, and then I left. When the Methodist wanted to start the university, then they say, hey, you are a minister, come and start the university for us. So they appointed me as the coordinator for the Methodist University.
For the Business University.
Yes.
But let's quickly go back to the Ghana Standards Board.
Good.
Yeah, at the time. When they gave you the job, what kind of mandate were you given in order to make the place, I mean, effective, because it is a strategic institution?
Yes, I was the chief executive, and the government gave me free hand to work. No interference. That one I give credit to Lit Fladder Lawrence. Never a day, because he kept his word, and I'm happy he did.
Okay.
So, for 10 years, I was with them. And when I got to the standard board, I made sure that they wrote standards.
Before you get there, let's quickly take another break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about your achievements there. It's still Legends of Our Time on GBC News. We'll take a last break, and when we come back, we'll conclude this interview. Please stay. Hello, welcome back. The program is still Legends of Our Time on GBC, and it is the only platform that we bring you up to speed what's happening with our achievers. My guest for today is Professor Emmanuel Kwesi-Mafo, a former executive director with the Ghana Standards Authority, initially the Ghana Standards Board. Okay, Prof, so let's look at your activities at the Ghana Standards Board, I mean, formally. Currently at the Ghana Standards Authority. I know you are one of the longest serving chief executives of the area. Share with us what were some of the key projects that you
Thank you.
There.
I had very competent staff, but they needed leadership. So I organized them, and Mr. Larianki was in charge of standards writing. And I have one Mr. Hesse in charge of the laboratory. And Mr. Boatin was my deputy. Mr. F.K. Donko was second deputy in charge of administration. Boatin was in charge of technical. Okay. And interestingly, Boatin was my senior tech. And when I was a first year student, Mr. Donko was a teacher.
Ah, so you worked with your lecturer?
I was working with my seniors.
Your seniors, yeah.
Yes. And so I made sure that each and everyone worked. And the laboratory were analyzing everything in the system.
Okay.
And the inspectorate will go to the market. That inspectorate section of it is now what we call the Food and Drug Board.
Okay.
But they were doing that job. So they will go in the town, collect the samples, and the laboratory will work on them. Okay. During my time, we had World Bank grant to establish the food and the drug session with Mrs. Wahinemanu as the head.
Okay.
And we became the training center for Africa.
Wow.
During my time.
During your time.
And then we introduced the metrology. And then I built a workshop. I wanted to train our carpenters, our fitters, because they produce without measurement. When you buy a door from here, go and put in the one, it won't work. So, and unfortunately, I couldn't equip it when I left because the church wanted my services elsewhere.
Okay.
And when I was there, I built a library for them. They didn't have a library. I built a library and a clinic using the internally generated funds. And this area when you saw the standard estate, I acquired the whole area for them.
Okay.
Because they told me they wanted to get land to build, and they didn't have. When they were selling the East Legon land, they were there. They couldn't buy any. So I asked them whether they would like to go to Tema. They said, well, anywhere we get. So I went to Tema TDC. Fortunately for me, the managing director at the time was my hall mate at Nestle. And we went to Jimpa also together, and we were mates. So I told him, oh boy, I said, oh boy. I said, look, I need a land. How much do we need? I said, 10 acres. But he gave me more than that, and I paid for. And that is why we have the standard estate.
Oh, okay.
And I gave it to the
Staff.
When I gave it to them, they said, first come, first serve. But in your case, even though you haven't spent so much time with us, we give you one because it's through you that we have been able to get there. And they gave me one, this one.
Yeah.
So when I was with the stand, I trained more people, scientific, both scientific and technical and non-technical staff. And the typists, I made a ruling that if you don't have O-level, no promotion.
No promotion. You wanted your people to go to school.
Yes. I was insulted left and right. But later on they saw the wisdom in it. When some of them passed and I asked them to go to Polytechnic to do
further studies.
Further studies. And some went to Legon to do further studies. Interesting. A carpenter became a graduate.
Wow.
And one of the technical staff in the laboratory became an accountant. You see, then the staff saw that I have brought in a really good suggestion, and they followed it. And I had scholarship for my technical staff more than any other period, because I would go to the scholarship secretariat, I was serving on it, and then arrange to get us, and I write to Castle that I need to train these people. And immediately, Nathaniel Kwan sees my letter, then you know that already granted.
Already granted.
Yes. And you know, I train more people, masters, PhD, than any other, because of that, when I go out, I was able to boast. I had better staff than any other institution in Africa. And it was true. So I became the president of the ASU, African Standard Institutions, whole Africa. I was the president. Because one, when they visit Ghana, they see that things were moving in the right direction. And I thank God that late Mr. Solomon was a good friend, but he helped me a lot. When the nurses were talking about money, I would go to, he told me, don't come to me during working hours. I go to him, 5:30, 6 o'clock, we sit together, we discuss, and then the following week, I'll get the money I needed. That's why we built. When I went, it was for a small area. Now you get to there and you see mighty, mighty, mighty buildings. Yes, because I was working, he told me, when we give you the work, the money, you use it for the purpose. So again, get to the area, we see that there's landscape. I hired horticulturists to do the landscaping for us. They did, making the place very beautiful. Because I saw that when I visit other institutions, they have beautiful compound. I have to do the same in my institution. So I did, and fortunately, I was the first Ghanaian to head African standard institutions. Okay. First one. And I had the World Bank money. When they granted it, you see, when you write a letter, you have to pass it through the Minister of Trade. And they told me, what, Maf, send us a copy ahead of that. So when I send it to the minister, I'll copy them. Before the minister will respond, they have already given me the response. So when and at the end of the period, they renew it. And I left. I left everything to them. See, God has been so gracious to me. The best which is always guiding me, Colossians 3:23. Whatever you have to do, do it as unto the Lord. So anywhere you put me, I'm not working for man. I'm working for God. And I do the best I can. I did the same thing when I was at a lecturer at Tech. I did the same thing when I was a tutor at Winneba. Anyway, and Unilever, I did the same thing. When I went to Nestle, I did the same thing. And when I went to lecture at University of Ife, the day I was leaving, my head of department came to me and begged, stay on and help us. Because any professor who finds difficulties in chemistry, go to Dr. Mafu. If I teach you chemistry and you don't understand it, you will never understand chemistry. That one, I claim the credit, the glory of God. I have the patience to teach it. And I will use different methods to enable you to understand it. I'm an organic chemist. I'll use every method I can to help you. So that's my relationship with Ghana Standard Board, Nestle, Unilever, and now in the Methodist University, I was appointed the coordinator. So anything concerning the university, I wrote it for the tertiary committee to discuss it. And my chairman was late Professor Degraf Johnson with a brand of fund on the committee, late Professor Champon and the rest. Then just wasn't giving money. So late, Most Reverend Dr. Santiemchi was there when I've written to all the dioceses. And I gave him a copy. I went to him and said, Presiding, sir, I want to go around to raise funds. He said, how can you do that? I said, I have already written to the bishops. I've told every bishop to give me 4 big churches. I'm going to do that. I started from second day, went round. The last one was Tamale. When I was going to Tamale, they said, oh, what are you going to do Tamale? Because you always send money to them. I said, I will go. They said, oh, you might not even get a transport back. I said, I will go. I went and I came back with 13 million. Physical. They didn't believe it. They did not believe it. So they said, how did you do it? I said, it's God who did it. I had Professor Mensah, Professor Jau, who were there to help me. And I was able to. And then accreditation, because I was with the Standard Board, I knew almost all those who matter.
The key players.
Yes. I was attending meetings with them. So when I went for the accreditation, the letter, the man who was in charge drafted the letter together with me, drafted it and gave it to me. Doctor, you agree with it? I said, yes. I took it. They were having conference when I sent it to the presiding bishop. They didn't believe their eyes. But because my relationship with people, when I was the chief executive, I was all over. And I was again advising the government on matters concerning drugs and food.
Okay.
I was attending the cabinet meetings to advise the government. And at times I go to the parliament, the science committee to advise them on issues. So during my 10 years, I served my country. Yes, I served my country.
We are so proud and grateful.
And I have been, Ghana has been good to me. I have been good to Ghana. And I have served Mother Africa too.
Okay.
As the head of the president of the African Standard Institutions. I served Africa.
Okay.
And I've served the world also in diverse ways.
In diverse ways.
So, me, if I die today, God knows.
You've done your best.
My generation, I've served my generation to the best of my ability.
Sure. Well, you know, we have to be wrapping up, but let's quickly focus on your family before we go. I know you've been married for over 5 decades.
Yes. My wife is there, Grace.
And what's the secret behind this long-term union?
I'm cutting it short. We married in 1969. 1969. The day before our marriage, we had a terrible accident. While people were waiting in our house for us, we were involved in an accident. But thanks be to God, we only had the smoke out here.
Okay.
No other person, but the car was completely destroyed.
Oh, too bad.
So when we went to Winneba, my house was full with Christian fellowship members praying for us, singing and doing this. Then they saw a band around her. Said, what happened? You are involved in an accident. Then they said, look, whether accident or not, tomorrow we shall do the wedding. So the medical students among them work on her throughout the night. Okay. So the following day, the place wasn't swollen. And the lady who dressed her made sure it wasn't shown.
To cover it.
But we started the marriage with debt. We had to repair the car. And it cost us 475 Ghana cedis that time. It was money. But thanks be to God. Elsewhere, that elsewhere. We are together. And we have got 7 children.
Wow. How many boys and girls?
2 boys.
5 girls.
One is a professor at the Senior University.
Okay.
The other one is an engineer working with British Electricity Company.
Okay.
And the girl, the senior girl, is a lecturer at Cape Coast University, senior lecturer, Cape Coast University. And the next girl has 2 clinics. Coil, he's a pediatrician. Okay. 2 clinics and Tema here. And then the other one is the subject, their senior staff. Well, what do you have a name for it? And
she's a banker.
He's a banker, yes. Okay. And then the other one is a consultant. Okay. And the last baby is he's a lawyer practicing in Ghana.
Wow.
So I have 7. Each of them has done something which is good. And I don't have a problem with any of my children. Seriously. Morally, and then anything. Because they were brought up in the fear of God.
Fear of God.
All of them. I don't have a problem with even one. And they're all very active. Anyway, to go to Richard, you see them. If you go to Presbyterian, you see them. My mother was a Presbyterian and a Presbyterian. He died 1996. My mother grew up to see him, to see her. But my father died then. I don't know my father, please. My mother also didn't marry again. I have 4 brothers and 3 sisters. They are all gone. I'm the last of my parents, both my father and mother. I'm the last. When I leave, they're finished. So I'm the last one.
Okay. So let me ask you, what is the most memorable period of your life?
Memorable period of my life. I think I would say the day when I got married because of the accident. I always remember that it hadn't been God's grace or favor, would have died, 2 of us would have died the same day. So I always remember it. And the next one is when I was with Ghana Standard Institution. Okay. I went to open an office. One of my senior members organized the staff to go on riot. So when I came, my secretary told me, Sister Hagen, Dorothy Hagen, I love my heart for her, that woman, a wonderful woman. So I came and I called a meeting with all the staff. And anytime they ask a question, ask that man who organized them, and they will answer. And then they saw that, indeed, he was aware of whatever was happening. I didn't have to say that, because I've just come from the university, I was trying to do, well, no. Please, that is a time I remember so much. I opened an office in Sunyani and Temale. By then they were having 3 offices, Kumasi, Takoradi, and Koforidua. And I had a bit more. And I think they showed that all the offices were well staffed. Because whatever I told them, the heads of those offices were representing me. And therefore, I need to make them comfortable. So those who didn't want to go initially, later on, they would like to go there because they were enjoying. I gave every station, every office a car to ensure that they worked. And during my time, Ghana Standard Board made a name. Once some people brought in copy food were passport from Egypt. Okay. Really they came and saw, and it was news. The Ghana Standard Board has been very active. Very active. We did that. And then I banned this toffee, what do you call it? Trophy. But it's still around. Yes, because I've left the scene.
Why? Is it bad?
You see, it's bad. You know the chicken are reared on the turkey. They are reared with hormones.
Okay.
And the hormones, the residual hormone is always stored in the tail. And no matter how you cook it, you still get a remnant of it.
And what will it do to you, the consumer?
That's why when those who eat it a lot, they soon bloat up. If you get to Europe and America, you see those Ghanaians who are eating chicken regularly, and they bloat up. When they come and you see them, and that's why many of these people are suffering from cancer.
So those imported chicken are not good?
It's not good. To me, if I have my own way, I'll ban it. If I have my own way, I'll ban it. I'm not destroying anybody's business.
Sure, we need
but
to speak
the health
the truth.
of Ghanaians should be supreme. If I have my way, I'll ban it. And encourage our people to produce local ones. It's cheap. Those of you who have relatives or relations who are outside Ghana, those in Britain, US, when they can, you see,
Obolo?
Yes, because of the hormone. They bloat up, and it's not safe.
So that trophy product?
Yes, not only trophy, even the chicken by itself.
Okay.
Because I'm saying that the residual hormone is always stored in the fat.
In the fat.
And the tail is fatty.
Fatty. And when we continue to consume.
Oh, Jesus, I won't do it. I will eat it. When I ban in 1 month, it will get to, what do you call it, Achimota police station. There's a coal factory, a coal store. When I banned it, I went to sit in for 6 weeks. And the man had the courage to come to my deputy to collect a note that his was on the high seat because I gave them two weeks moratorium. And my deputy didn't know, so he gave him the note. Spent 6 weeks. When I came 4 weeks more, 10 weeks. Then the man, what he imported came. He has raised bank loan to import large quantity of it to make a windfall. He went to the harbor and the customs said, no, it's banned. They won't allow him to clear. He said, I have a note. The person signed by Reverend Mafu. When the man came to me, look at that and said, but if even it was on high sea, if we have ordered from China, it would have come by now. 4 weeks, you can't. So you go to this minister, the minister will ring home. Reverend, can you try? And say, please, can you put it in writing? And nobody wrote.
What happened to the product?
He seized them, destroyed them, and the man went mad. That's what I was told.
Because the money was invested.
Because he was in big debt. Collected money from the bank.
So today we still have these products in the system. Why
yes,
if I were
Food and Drugs? If I were still on the seat, you won't get it. You know, formerly they were using sodium bromate for baking. I banned it and introduced ammonium and the carbonate.
Wow.
So ammonium, sodium bromate is hazardous to body, to the health.
What does it do in our body?
Yes. Can also affect the spleen, the kidney, the
liver.
The liver.
Okay. Our organs.
Yes. I banned it. The people who came to my office with gone and those things, I didn't bother. They said, you are a bad method minister. You are going to report you to it. I said, doesn't matter. I did. Because your health to me, God asked me, all of you, when I was the chief executive,
what did you do?
All of you here, if you die of anything resulting from what you have eaten, God will ask me, you were the head. Why did you allow it to come to the system? And I couldn't answer. With this in mind, I was always very particular about what I do. And I thank God I did the right thing. But nobody has raised a finger after I've left.
So what advice would you give us, the young ones coming up, in our chosen professions to excel like you did when you were working for Mother Ghana?
See, if you are a child, you have a child who is to go to university, always try to find his or her interests. Not because this course you get a job to do or you get money, no. That's the first. Two, when you have children, make sure that they know Christ. Every one of them. Every one of them. Pray with them in the morning, pray with them in the evening. Even when you're in the stomach, in the belly. Science has told me that the song you like most, if you sing it in the house and your wife delivers, the child will like it. So always make sure that children know Christ. And I thank God that I have never departed from this policy. The third one is encourage your children to work hard. Encourage them and to be honest. My mother was a hard woman. He's there. You make work. And if you lie to her, the way he beat you, you never lie again. And I use that one. When my children were young, if you lie, they will let them say, that will beat you. Tell the truth and you go scot-free. So I instill discipline and honesty into them. I can tell you with all sincerity, I've worked for almost 50 to 60 years. I've never collected a peso from anybody. And nobody, if you put me on the stage, the Reverend Marvel says, anybody has collected a peso from, come and tell him and he will refund it. As not even one. Because I don't want to disgrace my God. My God is able. Please, those of you who are Christians, I'm telling you this. The God we worship is able. Put your trust in him, and he will never let you down. So that is the third one I have. And I'm happy. My wife has been a really supporter. All this has been supporting me, really, very, really. At one time, when I'm really busy, when we're starting the margarine, and I'm very busy, I won't talk. So he will also go for a book and read. Because the answer was yes, no, zero. Because I was too busy.
Too busy.
Better Tema. I was in charge. I started it. I started Christian Fellowship in Tema. So many of the present ministers, many of the charismatic ministers, including our own Dr. Otabil, they were all from the Christian Fellowship. We help them to understand the Bible. Assembly of God, I can say about 6 of their ministers are from the fellowship and the Methodists. So, please, take your God seriously and you take it seriously. I have never regretted, and I will never regret until I get to the grave. Even there, God will meet me. I don't know want. I don't have the money, but I don't know want. I don't know what is called want. God always supplies
your needs.
This house, how I got the plot, only God knows. Out of their generosity they gave me, and I built it. I have my house in Kumasi, big one. There, if you were there, you wouldn't be in the room like this, you would be outside, because I have a lot of trees around.
Sure. My last question, Professor Mafo, finally, how would you want to be remembered by future generations?
One, the church, I want the Methodist Church to remember me for what the services I've rendered to the church.
Okay.
Started Better Methodist Church, the Adelsgate
Society.
And in Kumasi, go to Mount Zion.
Okay.
And transform the church into a place, something they can never forget. When I went there, their school was under a shed. Go there and see. I transformed it into a beautiful school.
Wow.
50 CDs they were charging, people were not coming. Now, admission fee alone is 200, and they pay.
Because of the standard.
The standard institution, at least, this estate, number one. Number two, I made them to understand that the clinic over there, they have the clinic now and the library. I built the library and the clinic for them. And I really hired qualified people to man it.
Okay.
The library, we have a librarian. The clinic, you have a nursing sister, and the doctor was coming there twice a week. So at least, now they go there, and the buildings over there, you see, you will always remember. And the day I think if Rollins were to be alive, he will remember me. And the rest, because I supported him in every way possible, so far as the standardization is concerned. So my people will also remember, my children will remember me because I did all of them.
Yeah.
And my wife also remember me because, Grace, I hope you remember me.
He spent quality time with her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we went to South Africa. The pictures we had, I think, are very beautiful ones. We went there to spend our holidays. So, please, my wife, I say thank you to her. She has been a wonderful wife for me, so far as I'm concerned. My Christian beliefs and my work, everything, you have supported me so much.
Thank you so much, Professor
Emmanuel
Kwesi Mafo. Indeed, we are so inspired by what you've shared with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Time spent with you. Okay, so it's been Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. Our guest for today has been Professor Emmanuel Kwesi Mafo, a former executive director of the Ghana Standards Board, currently the Ghana Standards Authority. And of course, he actually saw to the setting up of the Methodist University in Accra. My name is Gifty Eji. Thank you so much for watching. God willing, we'll come your way same time next week. Until then, bye for now.